Hi there. Welcome to the second video of this course. In our last video, we have been introduced to VueJS. We found out what Vue is, why it is popular, and what problem it solves. In this video, we'll be setting up the environment for our first VueJS application. Now, before setting up the environment for our first VueJS application, we need certain prerequisites that needs to be installed into our computer. First one is a code editor. I'll be using VS Code for this course. You can use any code editor of your choice. Second one is node.js. Node.js will help us to install Vue CLI, which is used for setting up the Vue application. At last, we need npm, which stands for Node Package Manager. So we need to have understanding about npm and its commands so that we can install all the necessary packages which are required for setting up our first Vue app. Now, as I've told you that we'll be using Vue CLI for setting up our project, let's just understand about what Vue CLI is. So Vue CLI is a command line interface which helps us for creating, configuring, and managing our Vue.js project. Now, why we should use Vue CLI for setting up our first Vue.js app? Well, it simplifies the process of setting up and developing and deploying Vue.js application. It means that with the help of certain commands, it will create a template for us, which we can use for building our code. It provides a live server with hot reloading. It means that whatever we are coding, we can check that directly into our browser. Whatever changes we will do, we don't need to rebuild our application. We can see these changes directly in our browser by just saving the files. And at last, it optimizes the code for production, which means that it automatically writes our code and put all the best practices over there so that whenever we want to move this code to production, it is directly production ready. We don't need to do any other change. Now let's just see how we can use all this for setting up our first Vue.js app. So we need to install Node.js into our system, and as well as we need to download the Visual Studio Code so that we can proceed with the creation of our first Vue.js app. Now after installing both of these, you can open terminal in your computer and you can see whether Node is installed or not with the help of node-v command. And you can see this version of Node is installed into my system. Now I can use this Node for installing the Vue CLI into my computer. And how can I do that? Well, it is very easy. I just need to use npm for installing the Vue CLI. So I'll write the command npm install -g, which will install the Vue CLI globally into my computer. And I'll write @vue/CLI. And after pressing enter, it will start installing the Vue.js into my system. Now, as you can see, our Vue CLI is installed. So we can use this Vue CLI for building our first Vue app. So what we can do is, I can go to the documents folder into my system. And in that document system, and in the document folder, I can create my first Vue app. For creating that, I'll be using this Vue command, which is provided to us by this Vue CLI that has been installed into our computer. So we can write the command vue create and then the name of our application. So I'll call it first-vue-app. I'll click this. It will start the process of creating the Vue app for me. So it is asking for these options. Do we want to use Vue version 3 or Vue version 2 by default, or we want to select the manually features? So I would be selecting manually select features for this course. So we want Babel to be there. We don't want to set up TypeScript. We don't want to set up PWA, not router. We want Vuex. So we will be setting up, but we'll create a new app for VueJS. We'll be creating a new app for Vuex later on. And for now, I don't want this linter, so I'll press space and it will be removed. And then I can press enter. After this, it will ask for the Vue.js version. I want this latest one. Then it wants to config. Then it wants the dedicated config files for Babel. I want it. Do I want to use the same options for the next projects, I'll say no. And I want to use npm. And as you can see, it start creating the basic Vue app template for us, which we can use for starting with our first VueJS app. So as our first Vue app has been created, now we can open it. How we can open it? Well, you can either go to your VS Code and then navigate to this folder which has been created, or you can just write code space dot and it will automatically open this into your Visual Studio Code. But for doing that, I need to go to the project folder first, which is first Vue app. So I'll go cd first Vue app, and now I can do code space, and it will open the VS Code for me. Okay, so the code command is not found. And here is our VS Code with our first Vue app. And here are the folders that has been created with the help of our Vue create command. So let's just understand about these folders. So first one is the node modules folder, which contains all the node modules and packages. Second one is this public folder. This public folder contains this index.html, because as we know that Vue is used for creating a single page application. So this is that single HTML page where we'll render all our Vue components. The source page, it has our Vue components as well as the assets folder, which will help us to load all this data over here. And we'll be using this folder a lot for working with Vue. After this, we have this browser list RC, which is just a document giving us basic information about the browsers. We can ignore it for now. We have the git ignore, which tells our GitHub to ignore the files which we don't want to put into our Git repo. We have the babel config.js, which contains a configuration for our Babel transpiler. Then we have the JS config JSON, which contains the basic configurations about the JavaScript. Then we have the package log.json as well as package.json, which contains the template of this whole project, all the dependencies, name of the project, all the scripts that will be used for running it, a read.md file, which is used and gives us information about all the commands. And at last, we have this view.config.js, which gives us configurations about the view. So these are some of the files. So this is it for this video. And in our next video, we'll deep dive into these files and we'll start building our first VueJS app. Hope you have liked the video. See you in next video.